You are not tired just because life is hard. A lot of the time you are tired because your energy is pointed in the wrong direction. That is the real problem. Most people wake up already behind, not because the day is impossible, because their mind is already split. Phone, comparison, approval, work they do not fully believe in, pressure they never chose clearly. Then they call it burnout. But sometimes burnout is not about doing too much. It is about doing too much of what is not truly yours. And here is the fast check. If it costs your peace, it's too expensive. If you need applause to tolerate it, it's not aligned. If you dread it every day, it's a direction problem. That is where energy starts leaking. You can be busy and still feel empty. You can look productive and still feel off. Because effort is not the same as alignment. That is why Musashi's story still matters. Not because we can prove every thought in his head, but because his story represents something real. Power comes when your energy isn't split against itself. That is the shift. Less inner conflict, less proving, less chasing what looks impressive but feels dead inside. Because when your actions, attention, and direction stop fighting, each other energy comes back faster than people expect. Not because life got easier, because you stopped spending your whole day working against yourself. Name one thing you're doing for approval, not meaning. That's your leak. And once you see the leak, the next question gets uncomfortable fast. What are you carrying that does not need to be there? Because a lot of people are not tired from real responsibility. They are tired from excess. Too many notifications, too many open tabs, too many promises they never should have made, too many thoughts they keep replaying like they are still useful. That is the weight. And most of it is invisible. You do not feel it like a backpack. You feel it like tension, like mental fog, like that constant background pressure that makes even small tasks feel heavier than they should. This is where Musashi's story hits hard again. He became known for stripping life down to what mattered and rejecting what was useless. That image matters because it points to a rule most people need, now more than ever. Extra noise costs energy, extra attachment costs energy, extra mental clutter costs energy. That is the shift. Stop asking, how do I get more energy? Start asking, what can I stop carrying? Because energy does not always come from adding better habits. Sometimes it comes from subtraction. A cleaner room, a simpler routine, fewer fake obligations, one less person you are trying to impress, one less habit that drains you and gives nothing back. That is not laziness. That is precision. If your life feels heavy, do not just assume you need more discipline. You may need less friction, because the truth is simple. What is useless is not neutral. It is expensive. And the more useless weight you remove, the more clearly your real path starts to appear. And once you remove some of the useless weight, the next lie has to die too. Motivation is not going to save you. That is where a lot of people stay stuck. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel inspired. They wait to feel clear. And while they are waiting, nothing real gets built. That is the trap. Because if a hard life depends on motivation, it will collapse. The second motivation disappears, and motivation disappears fast. Rainy day, bad sleep, low mood, no praise, no visible results yet. Now what? This is where Musashi's example matters most. Not as some fantasy of perfect discipline, but as a reminder that repetition beats emotion. His story points to a life built on rhythm, not mood doing the work, whether conditions felt ideal or not, until effort stopped feeling like a negotiation and started feeling like identity. Here's the rule. You do not need to feel like it every day. You need a rhythm strong enough to carry you on the days you do not. Mood is a liar. Rhythm is real. That is how effort stops draining you. Think about brushing your teeth. You do not need motivation. You just do it. The goal is to make more of your life work like that. Not dramatic, not emotional, repeatable. So stop asking, how do I stay motivated? Ask the better question. What can I make repeatable? One walk, 1 hour, one session, one promise you actually keep. That is how burnout starts turning into momentum. Not by trying harder, by removing the daily argument with yourself. If it's not repeatable, it's not a plan. It's a fantasy. And once rhythm replaces mood, the next leak gets exposed fast. You are tying your energy to results you cannot fully control. That is why so many people look disciplined on the outside and still feel wrecked on the inside. They are not just doing the work. They are constantly checking what the work is giving them back. Did it work? Did people notice? Did I win? Did I get the number? Did I get the approval? Did I move ahead of somebody else? That is exhausting, because when your peace depends on the outcome, your nervous system never gets to relax. It stays braced. It stays hungry. It stays one result away from feeling okay. This is where Musashi's story cuts deep again. In the famous duel with Sasaki Kojiro, the image that stays with people is not just the win. It is the detachment. He arrived rough, fought fast, and then walked away without turning the moment into theater. That story points to something bigger. Power gets cleaner when you are fully committed to the moment, but not chained to applause afterward. Here's the rule. Focus on mastery, not applause. Because the more your energy is tied to the scoreboard, the more fragile your mind becomes. You see this in normal life all the time. The person refreshing email every 5 minutes. The creator checking views before the work is even warm. The student whose whole identity collapses around one grade. That is not ambition. That is dependence. Real strength feels different. You show up, you do the rep, you sharpen the skill, you leave the result room to arrive later. That is freedom. Because when your energy is no longer hanging from the next outcome, you stop performing from panic. You start acting from clarity. Comment 1 if you know you've been chasing results harder than mastery. And once you stop tying your energy to results, the next truth gets harder to ignore. You are not only tired because you do too much, you are tired because your mind never stops moving. That is the real drain. A lot of people wake up in motion. They eat in motion. They work in motion. They even rest in motion. Scrolling, thinking, replaying conversations. Imagining problems that have not happened yet. Filling every quiet second with one more thing. So even when the body sits down, the mind never does. That is why this part of Musashi matters so much. His story was not only about fighting, it was also about stillness. Between duels he painted, he carved, he sat by rivers. He treated art and swordsmanship like the same path, different forms, same presence. That image matters because it shows something most modern people forget. Real power is not constant aggression. Real power is calm that can move. Here's the rule. If your mind never goes still, your energy never fully returns. That is why some people feel exhausted even after a day off. They never actually came down. They just changed activities and kept the inner noise going. You can feel this in real life. A walk with no phone feels different from a walk with 10 tabs open in your head. A workout with a quiet mind feels different from a workout fueled by anger. Even washing dishes feels different when you are there for it instead of mentally living in tomorrow. That is the move. Find one place where your body can move, and your mind can stop chasing. Walking, writing, lifting, breathing, silence. Because when the body moves, and the mind stops thrashing, energy starts coming back in a cleaner form. Not hype, not adrenaline, steady power. And once you learn how to find stillness inside movement, the next truth hits even harder. Real energy does not come from comfort. It comes from alignment. That is what most people get wrong. They keep trying to fix exhaustion from the outside. More caffeine, more motivation, more hacks, more entertainment, more little rewards to drag themselves through the day. But none of that lasts. Because if your actions, your beliefs, and your direction are all pulling in different ways, no amount of stimulation will make you feel strong for long. You will always feel split. That is why the final image of Musashi matters so much. Not the duels, not the legend. The cave. At the end of his life, he pulled away from noise and wrote clearly. That part of the story represents something powerful. When the distractions fall away, you find out whether your life is actually pointed in one direction or scattered across 10. Here's the rule. Clarity creates energy. Confusion burns it. You can feel that in real life. A day with one clear priority feels lighter than a day with 10 half-made promises. A hard path you chose feels cleaner than an easy path you secretly resent. Even difficult work feels different when it belongs to you. That is the shift. Stop asking only, how do I get more energy? Ask the harder question. What in my life is out of alignment? Because when what you do, what you believe, and what you are aiming at start moving in the same direction, something changes fast. You stop leaking power. And when you stop leaking power, you do not just feel less tired. You feel dangerous again. And once you realize your life is out of alignment, the next move is not more effort. It is removal. Because a lot of people are not exhausted from the hard things that matter. They are exhausted from the useless things they keep dragging with them. The conversation that drains you every week. The habit you keep defending, even though it weakens you. The goal you are chasing for approval, not meaning. The obligation that makes your whole body feel heavier the second it shows up on your calendar. That is where your energy is going. Not in one dramatic collapse, in slow leaks. This is why Musashi's path still hits so hard. What his story represents is not just strength. It is subtraction. Cut what does not serve the path. Drop what is noisy, performative, empty, or weak. Keep what sharpens you. Here's the rule. If it doesn't strengthen your path, it weakens it. That sounds extreme. It is actually practical. Because every useless yes becomes energy you cannot use where it matters. Every fake responsibility becomes friction. Every battle that means nothing still takes something from you. And that is why people feel tired even when they are doing fine. They are carrying too much that does not belong to them. So stop asking, how do I handle more? Ask the better question, what can I stop feeding? One distraction, one fake obligation, one approval-based goal, one habit that keeps pulling you off your own road. That is how direction gets cleaner. And when direction gets cleaner, energy stops feeling random. It starts feeling earned. Comment 1 and write the one useless thing you know you need to cut. And once you start cutting what weakens your path, the final truth becomes hard to ignore. You were never meant to live divided. That is why so many people feel drained, even when they are doing fine. Too many directions, too many borrowed goals, too many things pulling at your attention that do not belong to your real life. A person can survive like that, but they will not feel powerful like that. That is the difference. Real energy does not come from hype. It does not come from one lucky burst of motivation. It comes from a life that points in one direction. That is why Musashi's story still matters. Not because we can prove every thought he had, but because Musashi's story represents something people still need now. When you remove enough noise, effort stops fighting itself. That is the final rule. Direction gives energy. Division drains it. You can feel that in normal life. One clear goal feels lighter than 5 fake ones. One honest path feels cleaner than 10 borrowed identities. One hard thing that matters feels better than 100 easy things that mean nothing. So stop waiting to magically feel like yourself again. Build the conditions where that version of you can return. Cut the noise, keep the rhythm, detach from applause, protect your stillness, walk your path on purpose. Because the truth is, you may not need more rest as much as you need more alignment. And once your life stops pulling you in opposite directions, things begin to change. You start waking up clearer. Mornings stop feeling like a fight. Your energy stops feeling so random. You feel steadier, cleaner, harder to shake. That is the win. Not becoming perfect. Becoming aligned enough that your energy can finally stay with you. Comment 1 in one word, the thing pulling you off your path.